We're here today with some breaking news that's unfortunately become all too familiar: wildfires. From the west coast to the east coast, these infernos are raging, leaving a trail of destruction and despair. California, a state synonymous with sunshine, is once again battling flames that threaten to consume its iconic landscapes. But this time, the crisis has struck closer to home, right here in the Northeast. The New York-New Jersey region, known for its bustling cities and fall foliage, is now grappling with its own wildfire emergency. The images are stark, a grim reminder of the power of nature and the vulnerability of even the most urbanized areas. From the ashes and smoke, stories of loss, courage, and resilience are emerging. We'll delve into the heart of these wildfires, examining their causes, the extent of the damage, and the impact on communities already grappling with the realities of a changing climate. Section 2, Nature's Fury Unleashed, a tale of two wildfires. In California, the mountain fire, fueled by dry conditions and fierce winds, has torn through Ventura County, forcing thousands to flee their homes. The Golden State, no stranger to wildfires, is facing yet another battle against an implacable foe. Meanwhile, on the opposite coast, the Jennings Creek wildfire has engulfed thousands of acres in the New York-New Jersey region, challenging the perception of wildfires as primarily a Western phenomenon. This unprecedented fire season has ignited fear and uncertainty, leaving many wondering about the future. The stories of these two wildfires, though separated by thousands of miles, are eerily similar. They speak to the growing threat of wildfires in a world grappling with climate change and its consequences. Join us as we explore the individual narratives of these fires, shedding light on the human toll and the environmental devastation left in their wake. Section 1. Ventura County under siege. The mountain fire's wrath. The tranquility of Ventura County, California, known for its picturesque coastline and rolling hills, was shattered in early November 2024. The culprit? The mountain fire, a ferocious wildfire that ignited near the town of Santa Paula, quickly becoming a symbol of California's ongoing battle with increasingly destructive wildfires. Fueled by a dangerous combination of dry vegetation, low humidity, and powerful winds, the blaze spread rapidly, consuming acres of land and threatening homes and lives. As the fire raged, a sense of urgency gripped the region. Firefighters from across the state rushed to the scene, working tirelessly to contain the inferno. Their efforts were hampered by the challenging terrain and the sheer speed at which the fire was moving. The air grew thick with smoke, creating a choking haze that blotted out the sun and turned the sky an ominous shade of orange.
Section 2. Santa Paula's Struggle, Evacuations and Uncertainty. The town of Santa Paula, nestled in the foothills of Ventura County, found itself directly in the path of the mountain fire. As the flames advanced, a sense of dread settled over the community. Evacuation orders were issued, forcing residents to flee their homes with little more than the clothes on their backs. The uncertainty was palpable as families packed their belongings, unsure if they would ever see their homes again. The evacuation center, set up at a local high school, quickly filled with evacuees seeking refuge. The mood was somber as families huddled together, sharing stories of escape and anxiously awaiting news of their homes and loved ones. The fire had not only displaced residents but also disrupted lives, leaving many feeling vulnerable and uncertain about the future.
Section 3. A fiery foe, dry conditions, and Diablo winds. The mountain fire's rapid spread was exacerbated by a perfect storm of weather conditions. California had experienced a prolonged drought, leaving vegetation parched and highly susceptible to ignition. Adding fuel to the fire, literally, were the Diablo winds, powerful dry winds that sweep down from the mountains and across the state, often in the fall. These winds, capable of reaching speeds of up to 70 miles per hour, acted like a bellows, fanning the flames and pushing the fire across the landscape at an alarming rate. The combination of dry fuel and relentless winds created a nightmare scenario for firefighters, transforming the mountain fire from a controllable blaze into a raging inferno. Wildfire sweeps through New Jersey and New York. A different kind of wildfire drama was unfolding. The Jennings Creek wildfire showed us that danger doesn't discriminate by zip code. The fire spread across the state line, fueled by dry conditions and strong winds. The flames devoured thousands of acres of woodland. This fire threatened homes, businesses, and lives. Section 2. A Trail of Destruction. The Jennings Creek Wildfire's Impact. The Jennings Creek wildfire left a path of destruction in its wake. Homes were damaged, some beyond repair. Families who had lived in the same communities for generations were displaced, forced to seek shelter elsewhere. The fire also took a toll on the environment. Thousands of acres of forest, home to a diverse array of plant and animal life, were reduced to ash. The economic impact was also significant. Businesses were forced to close, and tourism, a vital part of the local economy, suffered. The cost of fighting the fire, combined with the damage to property and infrastructure, ran into the millions. The Jennings Creek wildfire served as a wake-up call, reminding us that even in areas not traditionally associated with wildfires, the threat is real and growing. Section 3. A Fallen Hero. Honoring a young firefighter's sacrifice. In the midst of this tragedy, there was a story of extraordinary courage and sacrifice. An 18-year-old volunteer firefighter answering the call to duty lost his life battling the Jennings Creek wildfire. He was a young man who had dedicated himself to protecting his community, putting his life on the line for others. His death sent shockwaves through the region, a stark reminder of the risks these brave men and women face every day. His story resonated far beyond the immediate community, highlighting the selflessness and bravery of firefighters everywhere. He was a hero, a young man who gave his life in service to others. His sacrifice will never be forgotten. The Jennings Creek wildfire, while devastating, also brought out the best in people. Neighbors helped neighbors, volunteers flocked to the area to offer assistance, and communities came together to support those who had lost so much. Section 1. A Choking Haze. Wildfire smoke engulfs the nation. Now let's talk about something that doesn't discriminate based on geography: smoke. The wildfires in California and the Northeast weren't just local problems. The smoke from these infernos traveled thousands of miles, blanketing much of the country in a thick, hazardous haze. From the Midwest to the East Coast, people were waking up to orange skies and the acrid smell of smoke. It was a stark visual reminder that what happens on one part of the planet can have consequences for us all. Imagine, folks, looking out your window and seeing the sun turned into a dull red orb. The air, usually crisp and clear, now heavy with the smell of burning wood and a gritty feeling that scratched at your throat. This wasn't just some campfire smoke. This was a massive air quality event, the likes of which many had never seen before.
Section 2. Concrete jungle to gas chamber, New York City's air quality crisis. Here in New York City, the city that never sleeps, we were forced to confront a new kind of threat. The iconic skyline, usually a beacon of hope and ambition, was shrouded in a thick layer of smoke, turning our concrete jungle into a scene from a dystopian movie. The air quality index, a measure of how clean the air is, reached levels rarely seen before, exceeding those recorded during some of the city's worst smog events. We were told to stay indoors to avoid strenuous activity, especially if we had respiratory problems. Face masks, once a symbol of the pandemic, were back in fashion, not to protect us from a virus, but from the very air we breathe. The city that never sleeps was suddenly forced to catch its breath.
Section 3. The Silent Killer. Health impacts of wildfire smoke. See, the thing about wildfire smoke is that it's not just about the smell or the hazy skies. It's about the tiny particles of soot and ash, invisible to the naked eye, that penetrate deep into our lungs, wreaking havoc on our health. We're talking about respiratory problems, heart attacks, strokes, even premature death. This ain't no joke, folks. Wildfire smoke is a silent killer, and its effects can be felt long after the flames are extinguished. Those with existing respiratory conditions, like asthma or COPD, were hit the hardest. Hospitals saw a surge in emergency room visits, with people struggling to breathe, their lungs inflamed by the smoke. But even healthy individuals weren't immune. The smoke affected everyone, causing itchy eyes, sore throats, and headaches. It was a stark reminder that we are all connected, and the air we breathe, once taken for granted, is precious and increasingly under threat. Section 4. Vulnerable populations. Children, seniors, and those with respiratory issues. The elderly, with their weakened immune systems and often pre-existing health conditions, were particularly vulnerable to the smoke's effects. And then there were the children, our most precious resource, their young lungs still developing, more susceptible to the harmful particles in the air. It was heartbreaking to see kids cooped up inside, unable to enjoy the simple pleasures of playing outdoors because the air itself had become a threat. This was the reality of living in a world increasingly impacted by climate change. The wildfires might have been burning hundreds, even thousands of miles away, but their effects were felt right here at home, in our lungs, in our homes, in our daily lives. We were all forced to confront the fact that we are not immune to the consequences of a warming planet, and that even the air we breathe is not guaranteed.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy.
Section 1. California on high alert, battling the flames in the future. Out west in California, they've got a whole different level of experience when it comes to wildfires. They've been dealing with this for years, and they've learned the hard way how to adapt and survive. They've got these things called red flag warnings, which basically mean, yo, fire hazard is off the charts, be extremely careful. And when those red flags go up, folks pay attention. They know what's at stake. The authorities out there, they're not messing around. They've got evacuation plans, community alert systems, the whole 9 yards. They even shut off the power sometimes, preemptively, to prevent downed power lines from sparking new fires. Can you imagine that? Here in New York, if the power went out for 5 minutes, people would go nuts. But in California, they understand that sometimes you gotta make sacrifices to stay safe.
Up and down the West Coast, from Oregon down to Southern California, you'd hear these public service announcements almost like a mantra. Create defensible space around your homes. Clear out the brush, have a go-bag ready. They even tell folks to practice evacuating with their families, just like we used to have fire drills back in school. It's all about being prepared, knowing what to do when the inevitable happens. Because out there, it's not a matter of if, but when. And it's not just the government telling people what to do. Neighbors are looking out for each other, especially the elderly and those who might need a little extra help getting ready.
Community cooperation, neighbors helping neighbors. I remember seeing this one story, this older couple, they were getting ready to evacuate, and their neighbors, these young college kids, they showed up, helped them pack their car, even drove them to the evacuation center. It was really heartwarming, you know, seeing people come together like that in the face of adversity. And it wasn't just in California. Even here in the Northeast, where we're still getting used to this whole wildfire thing, people were stepping up. Volunteer firefighters risking their lives to protect our homes and communities. Donations pouring in for those who had lost everything. It just goes to show you that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope, always compassion, always the human spirit shining through. Preparedness is key lessons learned and a call to action. These wildfires are a wake-up call, reminding us of the clear and present danger of climate change. They show the power of resilience, community, and the need for preparedness. We must learn from those on the front lines and listen to the experts. It's time to take action, individually and collectively, to protect our communities. We're all in this together. Let's act now. A shared responsibility. Confronting the new reality of wildfires. Recent wildfires from the Pacific to the Atlantic show we are in a new era of fire. These infernos are now a national concern, demanding our attention and action. The threat is real, fueled by a changing climate and our actions. It's time to face this challenge head-on. We can no longer afford to be complacent. We all have a role in mitigating this growing threat. Every action, no matter how small, can make a difference. United we stand, A call for action, innovation, and resilience. We need action, innovation, and unwavering resilience. Invest in advanced firefighting technologies, strengthen forest management, and build resilient communities. This requires collaboration across communities, industries, and individuals. Share knowledge, resources, and best practices. This is a fight we can only win together. Don't miss the bus. Stay informed and subscribe.